The media, I think the public of Jersey, we are all fully aware that children's services and treatment for young people has not been the best. It's not been very good at all, actually. And we have an opportunity now to get it right and get it better. And that's not going to happen with government working on their own. And that's a fact. Government cannot do this, and government cannot get this right on their own. They need to partner with good, solid agencies like ourselves and others in order to make that difference and actually start putting children first.
That was Jason Wise, CEO of the Silkworth charity group, and you're listening to the Bailiwick Pod with me, James Filial. The government is doing it for themselves. That's the message which one local charity went public with this week. Silkworth spent up to £240,000 refurbishing the old Brigadon Children's Home on the St Clement's Coast Road. Hope House is designed as a small therapeutic facility for young people with emotional problems or recovering from addiction to stop them needing to seek help away from Jersey. They did it as they thought such a facility was lacking in Jersey and they could help. Initially, they got what they describe as a flurry of referrals from social workers, but that soon dried up to none, because, they believe, officials in the Children's Service made a decision to stop them. It's now emerged that the government is planning its own facility described as a small therapeutic facility for young people to stop them needing to seek help away from Jersey. Silkworth feel their service is being wasted, and what they describe as the gatekeepers in the Children's Service are barring the door. Fiona Potney spoke to the Silkworth CEO, Jason Wise, and asked him to describe Hope House.
Well, I mean, I think it starts with the name itself. I mean, Hope House, we came up with the name because we wanted to give very much that word hope to young people that within the island are struggling. The property itself the position of the property was what sold it to us in the first instance. We walk through the door, the first thing you see is this beautiful big garden and the sea. That's therapy and treatment in itself. So when we took occupation of the property, the first thing we wanted to do was soften it. We wanted to make it homely. So that started from right at the very front door, putting a new porch in, changing all the flooring so that it had carpets like you would expect in a family home, a lounge, a dining room like you would expect in a family home. We wanted to remove the feeling of being institutionalized, because part of the offering and the therapeutic environment is very much a young person wanting to be there in the first instance, but also feeling safe that they can explore their own feelings and they can talk about them. So, that first experience of a young person coming to us and seeing the property and seeing what a bedroom looks like, we want them to want to come to us. And all that begins right from the very outset, from the look of the place. So it was really important to us. So that's the initial feel. You walk in, you feel safe, you feel at home, and you feel that you can open up.
So tell us a bit about the kind of young people that Hope House would welcome in, and the reason why this facility was needed in the first place.
So originally from the care inquiry which happened a number of years ago, we were aware that there were issues. I mean, we work with adults in our other treatment centre, 18 plus, where there are families impacted by substance misuse, but also some of the younger, the children of those individuals coming into treatment, there were other issues, mental health issues, not necessarily substance misuse, but other mental health issues. So we embarked on a journey, I would say about 7 years ago, actually, with regards to looking at what we could do to support young islanders with mental health issues and substance misuse issues. And we went to a facility called Hazel and Betty Ford in Minnesota, in America, 7 years ago, and we visited a treatment center called Pioneer House. And it was there that we realized that we could adopt something. We could take the best practice, adapt what was needed for the island, because obviously Jersey is a unique place in itself, and you can't just pick up a program and just stick it in. We had to look at how we could introduce something that would not be losing the core value of what it was about. And when we went to this treatment facility called Pioneer House, we really seen straight away that there was so much opportunity for us to help and support and work collaboratively with other services in Jersey, including the government of Jersey. So we started the process with a introduction of what we call a family program, which was for any islander in the island that has a family member or somebody close to them that suffers with addiction issues, but also mental health issues. And we introduced the program. We then moved on and we introduced another program called Silkworth, which is for 7 to 12-year-olds that have a parent or older sibling that suffer with addiction or mental health. And then it left us with one more area that we had to concentrate on, which was the development and introduction of a residential facility, something that was not going to be like a clinic. It was, like I said right at the very beginning, it had to be homely. But finding that property in Jersey is very difficult, despite the fact that we have got beautiful properties on the island. Finding a property that had the use, that had the ability to be able to operate as a under the children's home law, if you like, was quite difficult, without going to significant expense. And when Brigadon House, which was a former children's home, became available, and we went to see it, yes, it was quite clinical and quite institutionalized, but the opportunity that we felt and the vision that we could see for that property to provide a therapeutic treatment facility for young people was just absolutely amazing. So we've done everything we did everything we could to get that property, and it took us a year to get it, but we got it. We've invested significant charitable funds in developing the property and making sure it's homely and everything, but also we've invested significant funds in ensuring that we employ the right people to run the program, as well as keeping the opportunity for growth alive.
So tell us a bit about those individuals that are working at Hope House. What type of qualifications do they have, and how are they set up to help children that come there?
So, we employ a number of professionals on a consultancy basis. So you have to have a psychiatrist that you have access to. Any young person that comes into Hope House has to be assessed by a psychiatrist, which we employ and we fund independently of anything. It's the best way for the child, for the young person, but also for the unit as well, because the unit's got to be kept safe. We also employ a counsellor, so there's always going to be that delivery of therapeutic work, whether it be on a one-to-one basis or on a group basis. We have some really structured workshops which focus on particular areas for the individual. If I may say, the program itself is a client-centered program. So we're looking at the individual needs of that person, but at the same time being able to operate in a group environment, because the majority of what goes on in a treatment facility, particularly like Hope House or Silkworth Lodge, the majority of what goes on is within the group. It's the group dynamic. It's learning from each other and knowing that it is safe to talk, and actually that they're not alone, and they can share things that they may have struggled with.
You mentioned earlier that it was important that you were able to collaborate with government in setting up this facility. So tell us about those discussions. Who did you speak to about this? So
we engaged right at the very beginning with chief officers and the chief executive in particular, the Director General of Children's Services, right at the very beginning, before we even we embarked on the property. And the appetite for what we were talking about was very much agreed with and huge. And through that process, particularly from, I would say, May, June last year, I've invited various senior officials, not just from within government, but from other services as well, to come and see the offering that we have. in order for that when we were ready to open, they would know that this is here. So the conversations began a long time ago. And I think, and like I said to you before, when we read the care inquiry, and we it just cemented exactly what we had been working on strategically for a number of years. So it motivated us to drive forward even quicker with it, and that's what we've done. And part of that process, the correct thing to do and the right thing to do is to engage with government, engage with other organisations, so that we're not crossing over, that we're ensuring that there is a need for what we've got. And every person that we've spoken to has absolutely confirmed that. The public of Jersey have confirmed that. And it's a service that we've got available to young islanders. We've provided beds to statutory service. We're not asking for any money. We've said we want access to the young people. So
you opened Hope House in March. You had a flurry of referrals. What was the experience of the young people there? What was the reaction like when they came in?
So, I mean, it's like anything. I mean, I always say a young person that goes into Hope House has to want to go to Hope House. So what we were experiencing, or what we were witnessing, was, number one, the unknown from the young person before they got to us. So there's a process to follow. We will meet with the young person, and then we will invite them to come to Hope House with their family, to actually see the place. And the feedback we've got is they didn't quite know what to expect. I think it's always going to be that feeling of, it's going to be like a prison, or it's going to be like a children's home, or an institution. And actually, it's completely opposite to that. And that's what the young people buy into as soon as they see it. And when they see that, you've got a head start, because they know that we are investing in them. We want them to get well. We want to give them the tools that they need. So at the very outset, I think it'd be safe to say that the reaction, if you like, from young people that came to us was a bit surprised, because it's not what they expected.
But a positive surprise.
Absolutely. A positive surprise in that, when we talk about, we're going to be doing workshops and we're going to be doing one-to-one counselling, some young people like that's quite daunting to them, having to talk about their feelings. But when they get into the role of it, and they start to enjoy it, and they start to feel better because they're actually doing the suggested things, that just passes on within the group.
So it sounds like it was off to a really positive start, but then suddenly the referrals stopped. Why was that?
It was off to an amazing start. I think the everything we heard was people were excited by what we were talking about. They were saying, it's so needed, and et cetera, et cetera. I think there was even a lot of stuff on social media that could back up what I'm saying there. So the problems arose, if you like, when we were unable to. I would say it's more internal stuff that goes on within government, and red tape and bureaucracy that they have to deal with, which is why it's better for organisations like us to do this type of thing. So we were getting excitement from some social workers that we were engaged with, and they were thinking, they could see the need for it. But then, unfortunately, the bureaucracy that's involved with a lot of these things, and rightly so. I mean, we're talking about children here, and we have to make sure it's right. So I must highlight that. But what we must do also is give choice. That's what we must do. We should not and must not pigeonhole young people and their families into something that's what they, if whether it's a statutory service or a voluntary, they need to be able to have choice and know what's out there and know what's available. And our approach right at the outset was, let's work more closely with government, because actually a lot of these young people that will be coming to us may already be in the system somewhere, and government actually have access to those young people. But what we're now experiencing, and what we feel is, and the expression I'm going to use isn't wrong, it's my opinion, and I think it's right. But what is happening is there's a gatekeeper approach going on, and that's not right. That is not right. we should be we're living in a modern world now. This nonsense of gatekeeping and all that carry on should be gone. But unfortunately, that's my opinion on what's going on, because I've spoken to some families that have come to us direct. And that's another thing I must highlight. I think there's some families that didn't realise they could call us. They didn't realise they could actually pick up the phone and come to us direct for either, it might be that Hope House isn't suitable for that young person, but at least they would have explored it. And I think that's what we've got to get to. We've got to get to a point where the exploration can be done by the family, by the service, by the young person themselves.
Let's just touch on that phrase, gatekeeping, you've used there. I mean, what do you mean by that? Is there the suggestion that government wants to retain control of children's services? Is there perhaps a nervousness of working with a third party?
Yeah, I think there is an element of that, and your synopsis of what I mean by gatekeeping is absolutely correct. It's government has a role to play. They have a responsibility to young people, particularly young people that are under the minister's responsibility. I accept that. I think that's right. And I think, yes, there are protocols that need to be followed. But let's follow the protocols. Let's get things in place to deal with actually, if you want to use the expression, referral process. Let's not drag our heels with this. We're talking about young people's lives, and we're talking about mental health where it is getting worse for young people. It's not getting better. At the moment, it is on a slippery slope. What we're offering is this, I say it with a smile on my face because I still am in disbelief that we've got this facility here which can complement a lot of the already good work that's being done within statutory service and also within other voluntary services. So, why are we putting unnecessary hurdles in the way? We don't need to, we live in this world where hurdles can be bashed down. We can deal with hurdles. And we've tried that. We've tried that collaboratively, working, talking. But actually, I just want the public of Jersey to know that if there's a family in need and you're struggling and you're not getting what you believe you want, come and speak to us. We'll have a conversation. It's not a commitment. Come and have a conversation, and we can try and help you. If Hope House isn't right, then we can try and guide you in the right direction. In fact, I've already done that with 3 families. I've had that conversation where I've sat down with them and tried to give them direction on where they can go, because maybe Hope House isn't the right option.
How do you think we can move away from a situation where there is gatekeeping in place? How do we remove those barriers or hurdles? What needs to be done?
I think we just need to knock down this control element and feeling.
Is this a long-standing cultural issue?
I think it is a cultural issue. I think it's something that's existed particularly over here for many, many years. And I've seen. If I could just go back a little bit from adult services point of view, we experienced a similar type of thing many years ago when we opened Silkworth Lodge as an adult rehab. It was a similar experience. But I have to say, and I have to say very complimentary, that, the health and community service have moved on from that mentality. They really have. The new care model, for example, really highlights that. It's about working with partners to work within the community, because statutory settings are not always the best. There is a need, absolutely, for adults and children's services. Of course, there's a need for statutory services, but also there's private and voluntary services out there that can really add some beautiful value to the work that's already been done, and value for the work that's not being done.
As things stand right now, in your opinion, what's the best next step to move things forward?
So, we're not going anywhere. Hope House is not going anywhere. We have some wonderful support. We still have young people and families that are contacting us direct. And so we're not going anywhere. We're still going to be delivering a service, and we're going to make sure that young people that know about us can get access to us, if that's the right thing. The next step, in my opinion, is we've got to break down the barriers within government. I've had lots of really nice discussions and conversations, and that's great, and spoke with some really nice people. But you know what? I can talk to nice people every day. That's not what interests me. What interests me is actually talking to nice people in government, but also actually getting access to those young people so that they can be considered for Hope House, or they can make that consideration themselves for Hope House.
Just finally, as it stands, the government obviously has this commitment to put children first. Do you think they are putting children first?
I think the strapline, putting children first. Do I like that strapline? I'm not sure. I do. I think let's forget about straplines. Let's put action into place. I think that speaks for itself when we're actually seeing stuff happening and. The media, I think the public of Jersey, we are all fully aware that children's services and treatment for young people has not been the best. It's not been very good at all, actually. And we have an opportunity now to get it right and get it better. And that's not going to happen with government working on their own. And that's a fact. Government cannot do this, and government cannot get this right on their own. They need to partner with good solid agencies like ourselves and others in order to make that difference and actually start putting children first.
Jason Wise, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Silkworth CEO Jason Wise speaking to Fiona Pottinney. You can read more on that story at bailiwickexpress.com. You can find this pod in all the usual pod places, and if you enjoyed it, please like and share. The music at the beginning and the end is I Shift My Weight by Luno. That's all from the Bailiwick Pod this week. Thanks for listening.